if we're on the topic of dislikes, I don't think I have one. It's kind of like yours. Like if I had to pick one, it's that this movie ended. The credits rolled. That's about it. The credits rolled because I was locked in. Oh my god, I was so locked in.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. It was a great time.
What's good, everybody? Ace and McMillian here, back with another episode of Gurren Otaku Council, where we are here to discuss another beautiful Spider-Man content episode. And I know you guys are probably wondering, Spider-Man? I know this is an anime podcast, but we're in a different universe, a Spider-Verse, if you will, due to the hype generated from Across the Spiderverse. And me and my partner in crime, Ace, had to get in on that action.
Yes.
So, just sit tight, and we're here to give you a wonderful review of that movie. But as before we get started, as always, if you want to stay up to date on all things about the council, please consider us on our social media and following us on all of our platforms. All the places you can find podcasts, as well as here on YouTube. Well, with that being said, council's now in session. Let the meeting begin. Ace, my friend, how are you doing?
All right, I'm doing good, McMillian. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I am doing
this fine. And what is this? Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. On this fine Wednesday.
I'm doing great. I'm ready to talk about this movie.
Yes.
I cannot say
one of these days, even though we are an anime podcast, you'll stop trying to belittle me when I bring up anything other than anime that we should discuss, sir.
I don't believe you. I'm not believing you. When you brought this up as an option, I said, it's a little out of scope. The audience might be asking some questions, but I'm down. I am down.
I'm in the behind the scenes battle with trying to get McMillian to talk about other stuff other than anime right now, everybody. He wants me to start up a whole new channel. I'm not trying to do all that.
I'm not saying we got to do all that. I'm just saying, warn people.
But it's okay. It's okay. But but Spider-Verse though. Spider-Verse.
Oh, before we go any further, I forgot to say it in the intro. This will be a spoiler discussion / review of the movie. So if you have not seen it, I need you to be in the theater like now, because they're already spoiling on everything else. But besides that, the movie deserves your, attention.
You know what? Speaking of spoilers, I think this is a perfect segue into the movie then. Speaking of spoilers, because they gave, I don't know how, but the internet decided together that they was going to give the world a 3-day grace period before they decided to spoil in this movie. And I'm so proud of the internet, because I didn't think it was going to last as long as it did.
Yeah, that is true. I think during the weekend of the release, I didn't see much of it, but as soon as Monday came around, all bets were off.
Bets were off.
There were high quality goddamn clips, and I'm like, how?
Bro, I'm like, at this point, I'm just watching some of these, like you said, these pics and stuff people putting on the internet. I'm like, how are you getting these? What is this? It's almost like 4K. Like, what did you pull this clip from? Did you steal this? Like, where did you get this from?
Exactly. I was like, were they in the 4K camera in the theater? I can't even tell. Just in the movie theater.
You had to have stole this. Is power getting this good nowadays? Like, god damn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel like I'm right in the theater. But yeah, no, this Across the Spider-Verse. This was a passion project sequel to their previous passion project. Because Into the Spider-Verse was a passion project, and they just followed it up with another one. This movie looks so damn good it doesn't make any sense. And I've been seeing some discourse online where people somehow the movie looks bad and stuff, and I'm like, we gotta be in another universe or something, because we can't be watching the same thing.
You can't have the eyes I have. At this point, you cannot have the eyes I have. Ain't no way.
And I got horrible eyes, so I know if I'm seeing something different, then man, listen, man, I just don't know what it is, because this movie looks so freaking good. It's like, how did y'all pull this off? It's like I didn't even think they could, because like the first movie looked so great. I felt like it was almost impossible to live up to those same standards, but at the same time, they almost. No, I must say I think they probably did beat the visuals from the last movie, because just like the way each Spider-Man in this movie almost had, well, not necessarily each, but majority of the major Spider people that were shown off in the movie, they had their own styles, and they're all animated differently on the same screen at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, they spared no expense as far as like giving everybody their own individuality, and that was something like that was even carry over from the first movie, and I was really worried about that because when I saw the trailer, I think for this film and everything, I was like, wow, they're really opening up to basically the whole plethora of different Spider-Men or Spider people, and I was like, are we going to lose the individual like web swinging and styles that came through in the first movie? And I'm glad to say that they kept all of that true, even to the point where like we even have a character that's so unique. He's animated, everything on him is animated differently, and I'm just like, that is insane to pull off.
But it's not even that, but just pulling that off while also pulling off all the other different animation styles and like in the same scenes, like it's ridiculous. Like I can only imagine, like you would probably think scenes like that would take either multiple artists, or if it's one artist, that's going to take them a long time. And then if first of all, that is one artist, y'all need to pay that man or woman, whoever that person is, if they're pulling off scenes like that.
I imagine it when I buy because I think I'm planning on buying. Yeah, I plan on buying like the Blu-ray for this. I'm gonna spend some time in the behind the scenes talk back of just how they did this, because this movie is a marvel just to look at and like figure out how they did certain things. Like I'm not even that big into, well, I like animation, but I'm saying like personally, it's not like something I do. But this, I could see myself watching that like talk back for this movie, specifically.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's get into the plot of the story. Plot of the story. God damn it! Let's get into the plot of the story real quick.
Well, you will give a summary.
Yes. So essentially, the movie takes place where we see our boy Miles. Well, actually, it starts off with Gwen. Being introduced to the Spider-Verse, basically. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but there's a small little prologue where it shows Gwen getting introduced into the Spider-Verse, basically. But after that, the whole movie revolves around our boy Miles, trying to stop the villain of the week, Spot, from becoming more than a villain of the week. Because it turns out that Spot was actually one of the scientists from the previous movie that was working on I can't remember the machine, but the machine that allowed them to peer into the multiverse, basically.
The hydrogen collider.
He was one of the scientists that worked on that, and when the machine blew up, he got turned into this Spot guy, basically. And so Mr. Spot is going around to the other dimensions, traveling to other dimensions, basically going to that same collider and all the other different dimensions, making them blow up and absorbing this energy, getting stronger. And then so that's basically the whole plot of the story. No, Spider-Man, Miles is trying to stop him from doing that. Some other stuff goes down where, we get plot twists here and there that we're gonna get delve deeper into. But basically, the major plot of the story is Miles trying to stop Spot from basically tearing down the multiverse, essentially.
I guess that's an overarching bit of it. Without going too much into the Spider Society of it all too, because that's also pretty huge. But I will probably get more into that as we go. But just to give a quick byline, that involves basically Miles doing that, introduces him to the Spider-Verse and all the people that deal with what would I say, like anomalies as far as like stuff going in from different worlds, because we've learned in this movie that from the first movie that when they did that big fight for the hydrogen collider, it opened up holes in other worlds, not just Miles's and stuff like that. And
Correct.
So Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, put together a task force to basically go and handle the other multiverses popping in to the basically things popping in from other multiverses into the other verses, and to stop it. And Miles,
it's essentially I can't remember the name of it. They're not the Time Force, but I'm gonna call them the Time Force. But if you all watch Loki, the Time Police
TVA.
Patrol, that was TVA. They're basically like the TVA, but Spider-Man.
Specifically Spider-Man. That's perfect.
But just Spider-Man.
That's perfect. and there's a whole they have issue with Miles trying to stop the Spot because in doing so he would break the canon, and I cannot wait to get into
which we're gonna get into that because we found, like I said, that's deeper stuff, but we're gonna get into that. But before we get into that, I just want to talk. I want to go over my quick probably one or two dislikes that I do have for this movie. Not a lot, but I just want to go and get them out the way because I don't have a lot. One of my dislikes for this movie is I really wish we would have got to see more of the spider people that was in the Spider headquarters, HQ, if you will. I guess that's what we're gonna call it. That was in Spider HQ. I just feel like we should have, like, from all the trailers that we saw, they were showing nothing but really mostly sections from when Miles was in Spider HQ. But I feel like it wasn't that many scenes of us being in the HQ from in the movie though. I just wish we would have got more of that.
Okay. What else did you dislike?
What else was I said? I think just one or two, but it was really just that one. If the other one come to me, I'll say it. But it's really just that one main one, and it's not even really just an issue. They're giving me something that I love, and I just want more of it.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. I would have. And it's so interesting as a person. I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I have a friend that's his number one hero. So he probably would have probably felt the same way because there were so many things. But like, for instance, for me, I would have just loved to get. I probably would have loved to see more of it too, just so I could to see all the different variations that I don't know. But there were so many that I did. It was so fun to like point them out because I was like.
That part, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to express, like them just showing off more of the Spider people. Like, of course they showed off a lot, and it's impossible to show off every single one. Do I want them to? Hell yes, but I know
we be here forever.
To do it.
yeah.
But I just feel like you said, just show off more of the designs. I feel like they inputted in all these designs, created all these designs. I feel like they could have showed off more than what they did.
Yeah. I don't. If we're on the topic of dislikes, I don't think I have one. It's kind of like yours. Like, if I had to pick one, it's that this movie ended. The credits rolled. That's about it. The credits rolled because I was locked in. Oh my god, I was so locked in.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. It was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? The people, me and the council. We want to hear your thoughts, Millie. What's going on in that head? What about the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, impressed you?
Ooh, okay, man, that's hard because there's so much. How much time do we have? I think besides the visuals, because we talked about that already. It's the attention to detail, I think, for the story. Like, let's go with the Spot's origins. He's actually in the first movie. He's not some guy that they just kind of like
they just pulled out their ass.
That they just brought out of nowhere and was just like, I'm related to the accident. If you go back, you can clearly see who he was and all the stuff there. I loved how not only that, but they there are so many small details that like were tiny. Like, for instance, I don't know, I went to see this movie twice, so this is kind of a big spoiler, but not big spoiler, but there's a scene when the Spot is talking about how the spider that bit Miles came from a different Earth.
Mm-hmm.
In that scene, it's very quick. It shows who the spider was about to bite in the regular universe, just the back of their head and their hair. And if you watch the movie once, you probably don't pay attention to it, but it has a huge payoff by the end of the film because the person it was originally going to bite shows up at the end. I'm trying to talk around it because,
but it's okay. Now, this is a spoiler review. It's okay. The people, if they listen this far, they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Okay, all right. So basically, when the Spot talks about that spider, it shows who the spider was about to bite before they did the hydrogen collider test, where it brought the spider into our Miles's universe. He was in class, the other Miles with the braids, and the spider was jumped and was about to bite him, and then got sucked into a portal. And I was like, this is only something you could know if you watched it twice, or if you're just that locked in.
Yeah, if you're that locked in, yeah.
Because by the time
if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it.
Yeah, because I was about, not even that. If you are paying attention, I still feel like it's hard because that is in the first. That's in like the first couple of minutes of the film.
Well, you know what? Because I feel you. Because I mean, shit, I was locked into the movie, and I didn't even realize that until you just brought it up.
Yeah, that was in the first couple of like maybe the first I don't know, for 45 minutes of the film. The reveal of other Miles is all the way at the end, and so like even if you paid attention, even like if you were observant and saw that and was like, oh, the spider was about to bite somebody with braids, I don't know if you like fully connected because there's so much that happens.
No, because our Miles don't have braids, so even if you would have, like you said, you see the back of them, you don't really think like that. But when, like you said, since you already seen the movie, you go watch it again, you're like, oh shit, look at these guys, they've been teasing this entire time.
So that's one. Two, with the spider, the fact that like into the Spider-Verse, the spider glitched, and you don't think anything of it because by the time you get to glitches, it's important for people. You don't think of the spider because it's dead, right? Like it's already dead. You don't care. But in the car, somebody you're just like, oh fuck, like what the hell? And then that leads to Miles getting transported to the wrong universe, which is also something that if you weren't paying attention in the beginning, that you completely lose, because they'd say Miles' universe is like 1610, I think, or whatever.
Something ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end, in the scene where he's running, where he gets back to HQ and the machine is sending him home, it says after it scans him, Earth 42 locked in, and I'm like. At first when I watched it, I didn't pay attention to that shit. I was like, "Oh, he's gonna get back.
He going, my boy, going
home." And then just get there, and like when I think when he first made it into his room, like when I first watched it, is when I was like, this don't seem like his place. What's going on?
You know, I didn't get it. Didn't catch on to me really until. Oh, I don't think at all, because they fooled me. They had me, because the reveal came and I was like, what the like I didn't even know it was coming at all.
So for you, it was probably like when he glitched, right? It was when it happened for you. For me, I was just like, okay, these three people are chasing him. They've been shown to be able to do it. I mean, they're Spider-Man.
Well, no, because like, so it's in the sense what I think what it was for me is like, Miles was telling his mom that he was like, I'm Spider-Man and everything. She was like, I'm Spider-Man. What are you talking about? Who was that? And I was like, do they not know who Spider-Man is? I'm confused. And then his uncle walked through the door, and I was like. What?
I was like, see, I said when he glitched, because if you remember in the movie, right before his uncle walked through the door, he glitched and like fell on the couch. Yeah, he glitched.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, but I guess it makes sense because technically he's not in his right universe, but at the same time, it's almost like he's a part of the universe because the spider bit him. So
yeah, so what happened was in that scene, he talks to his mom and he says something about his dad, and his mom's like, Miles, Miles, please, I got me to take care of, and I got you to take care of.
Yeah.
Which, as a child of a single parent, I was like, oh, I know what that means.
Well, but no, I mean, I knew he was in another universe when his uncle walked in, but I didn't know. But still, it didn't. The major plot twist was the other Miles. It still didn't hit until it got fully revealed, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no, I mean that still hit hard. Like, trust me, it was just like, I think when he transferred to his thing, it's. I'm just saying about like details. It's just like that's such a small one, but it was big.
Yeah, and, I mean, no, we're gonna get into it because we got a theory section for the review that we're gonna get into later on. But
just besides visuals and score, because also the soundtrack is just as good as the first one. I've been debating.
Okay, so now that you mentioned soundtrack, I do like the soundtrack, but I definitely think the first one was better.
So here's a thing I've been talking. So I talked about with my best friend who I went to also see. He likes the first soundtrack better too, and I'm still on the fence of like which one I like more. But I think both of the soundtracks fit the movies semi perfectly or perfectly. Like a soundtrack one to me is iconic, and it did such a good job of making you feel like Miles was coming into his own as he was experiencing, learning to be Spider-Man. And I feel like this one is a good job of like really showing the different ranges of emotion that you kind of experience in the film, where like you have the songs for Miles and Gwen showing their relationship and like the will they won't they type of thing, and then the big adventurous thing when the Spider-Verse opens up to Miles, and then the dread of it all when the weight of like, you know, Spider-Man, it seems like to be Spider-Man you have to go through these hardships and stuff, yeah. Like I feel like both soundtracks fit their movies perfectly. I just don't know which one I prefer more, but like I'm just saying, like out of stuff that impressed me, the fact that they were able to like, because one of the things I remember when the second one come out and I was like just afraid was like, oh, will they be able to do the sound? Will they be able to pull the soundtrack off again? Will they be able to like because Into the Spider-Verse was honestly, if not one of my favorite films, might be my favorite film, and I was just like, can they capture the lightning in the bottle again? And by God, did they? Yeah,
they did it, because like even mentioned lightning in the bottle. Let's take let's delve deeper into that. For example, so for one example, like we said, Passion Project. Gwen's world, how specifically the scene where after she comes back to her universe after everything went down and it's been like a few months since she's been back, she walks in and just she sees her dad, she starts talking to her dad. Everything in the environment around her is like dark and smudged, gray and everything like that. But then after the conversation finished, she's basically she realizes that her and her dad are on the same page. Then you just see the background and everything lightened up. You can actually see the bookshelf over there, the TV stand over there and everything like that. Basically everything just becomes more clear. Like it just subtle details like that, like you said, that you can just tell like, oh, they really stuck their foot in this movie.
Yeah, I actually I was looking I was either watching a clip or reading something that one of the director or art people said. So for Gwen's world, they wanted it to be like a mood ring type of thing. That's why like with every like major kind of like emotional thing, the colors kept changing and stuff like that. Like with that last scene with her and her dad, like how when Gwen was giving her big speech, it kept like shifting in color as her emotions kind of kept rising. I was like, that is such a good fucking detail that really like just connects you with like what you're seeing on screen and with like how you internalize it. Just this movie, man.
They did a beautiful job. And then another one of my favorite things about this movie, and just about Spider-Man in general, so especially the movies and the video games, one of the best things that Spider-Man does, of course, is save people. All the action sequences where always showing off all the different Spider-Man, going around, swinging around, saving people, is just so cool to see, and it's just so amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even in the beginning of the movie with like Gwen, Miguel, and Spider-Woman, like how each of them, like how they kept in time with like saving people as well as fighting the Vulture. I was like, this is such a good fight. Man, Jesus.
Yeah, it's just those sequences, like you said, always are good. At the same time, with Spider-Man's always fighting the villain, or something's happened, like a major event, like a building is falling down and stuff like that, and he's trying to stop the building from falling while saving all the people at the same time. It's always a good time. It's just fun to watch how he's gonna go about saving the people and things of that nature. But let's delve down to some of the deeper parts of the story. With being, we're gonna go midway here. We're going deep here. So one of the main issues that people that I've been seeing on the internet that people have been having with the movie is basically how the whole canon event situation where they're mad at Miles for stopping the canon event that was supposed to happen for Pura, I think that's his name. Purita? I can't. His name didn't have a T in it, did it?
Yeah, no, it did. Pravitar Pravarkar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. If I am butchering it, I do apologize. But yeah, it's supposed to be like, in as far as what I can tell, it's supposed to be an Indian version of the name Peter, but I don't know if it's like a made up, like if it's a name that's been a common name, or if they just kind of just did that for the sake of like
meshed it together or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but him though, and then you find out, well, everybody was like, well, that's Spider-Man. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to save people, and then everybody's just like, a whole society of spider people would not be okay with this. And I was like, why you? Well, yes, at the same time, no, they won't necessarily be okay with it, but they all of them, Miguel was making good points. Without those, hard situations that they went through, they wouldn't be Spider-Man. Those situations are the reason why they're Spider-Man. And then on top of that, he also mentioned that, well, if you stop this canon event, motherfucker, the whole universe is gonna implode. So like, what do you want from like? What do you want?
So to just address that, it's interesting to see people say like Peter wouldn't allow this, or like such and such wouldn't allow this. And my thing is, Insomniac Spider-Man, which people feel like I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel like is a pretty accurate representation of a Spider-Man story, pretty accurate representation of characters. No one really had a complaint with that. In that game, spoiler for Insomniac Spider-Man, if you have not played it, Aunt May contracts a deadly virus, and Peter ends up getting the cure.
But it's been a minute since I played this, because I don't remember that big time.
But oh wow, I'm sorry to tell you this, Ace. But that's a pretty essential thing to the story. I don't know how you forgot it, but basically,
I forgot it somehow.
But basically, he ends up getting the cure, but he can't save her without dooming the other people in New York City that also have the virus. And in the end, he chooses to save New York over the person he loves the most in the world.
Okay, it's coming back now. It's coming back.
And my thing is, if people feel like that is an accurate depiction, then they should also see. I just feel like it's not hard to rationalize the fact that like other Spider-Men would see this and be like, more the greater good here would be
the greater good versus one person. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's almost like the train meme situation, where the one person is on one side of the train, is like 5 people on the other side. It was like, if you switch the lanes, only one person would die, but if you leave it, 5 people would die. It was like, well, people are gonna die regardless. But however,
so I mean, that's exactly I feel like that's exactly the thing. The only difference is now is like you've introduced the thing for Miles is that it's his dad, and also it's like you can stop it. Right?
We gonna get into that too, because his dad. But I guess my main thing is, well, I mean, I understand what people are saying. Well, Peter, Spider-Man will want to save people, yes, but if that's at the risk of destroying the whole multiverse, then I don't know. But I guess you can. The way No Way From Home went just then, I guess Tom, his representation of Spider-Man, he kind of almost risked destroying the whole multiverse just to save the people he loved. But, well, not even the people he loved, it was just to save a few villains. But even then, I don't know, man.
I mean, like I said, I think there's a valuable conversation in there to be had of just like, what really defines a hero kind of type thing is like what they're like, who they are. And I do get it, like again, not the biggest Spider-Man fan, but I have read his comics. I do see where people are coming from. Like, the whole thing about Spider-Man is that if he can help, he would. Like, it doesn't matter how small the situation or how big, he will do his damnedest to make sure he saves. He does. And
I think that's what the situation is. Like you said, all these Spider-Man and all in the Spider Society, they understand that we can't even though we want to save these type of people, this is a canon event. If we save those people, we're dooming everybody else. So it's just it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so that's why I don't necessarily like. I see the value in it. I definitely see people's points, but I could also, but at the same time, I think people are ignoring that. Right there, what you just said is that they're acknowledging the fact that, like, damn, if I don't go along with this, and I'm putting so much more than just other people in my universe at risk. I'm putting people across different universes at risk, which I just think that's hard as fuck to do. And then two, I think a lot of people might be not taking in consideration that some of the events that are quote unquote canon probably happened to multiple of the people, majority of the
Mileses and the other Peters and
other
stuff.
yeah.
I mean, actually, like they did, because there was a scene where Miguel is showing you what happens during the canon event, and you just see all the Spider-Man basically living not necessarily the same event, but basically the same event to a certain extent, though.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's definitely easier to get on Miguel's bandwagon if those events already happened to you, because you can't go back and stop them.
Yeah,
and also
100%. But yeah, like you said, but if you have a chance to stop it, it's just like
it's hard. That's a harder. I feel like that's a harder sell.
Hard thing. Yeah, it's a hard, especially when that's a relative of somebody like your father. So it's just like, you're telling me not to go try and rescue my dad. How? I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah.
Like, which is why they had to attempt to lock him up, understandably. To no avail. He got out of there, but no, they tried to lock him up because they knew, you know what, you're gonna be a problem. Let me go ahead and put you in this little jail right here.
And boy, was
gonna put you in there.
Boy, was he a problem.
we already got the file on you. We already know how you gonna react. We got the sale line ready. Got your name on it. We had it ready. Oh man, but before we get into some of our theories that we have for this movie and things of that nature, the main antagonist, Spot, W or not?
I think it's a W, in my personal opinion. I think introducing a character that has as much stake in something as Miles is good, and also to have him be such a small part of the first movie to then come bigger, and his whole thing is you hit like the actions. Even though Miles is doing a good thing at the end of the first movie, his actions end up inadvertently created this character and continue to create the character, because as he said, I'm just dealing with the villain of the week, and he was just kept making jokes, and the Spot's life was justifiably ruined. He looks like a weird Dalmatian man thing. And Miles is just over here making light of his whole situation. And he was like, "Nah, I mean, you wanted to stop me, or you wanted me, you ridiculed me, you called me villain of the week. I'm gonna show you villain of the week. I'm gonna show you villain of the week."
Yeah, no, I feel you on that as well. I think it's a W, because as I'm watching the movie, because that's at the beginning of the movie when we first get introduced to Spot and everything, he's fighting him and stuff like that. That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, this is just just some villain on the street. Basically what I was thinking. He's going to defeat him. We're going to keep pushing. They reveal the big bad later on. But then, as the story develops, as it keep developing, it's like, oh, Spot, you're not going away. Oh, Spot, you can go travel across multiverses. Oh, that might be a problem, Spot. Oh, you going around to all the colliders in the different multiverses? Oh, you are a problem, Spot. What are you doing? This is not what we discussed. You were supposed to be a villain of the week. What are you doing? And then now, it turns out that I'm the villain of this movie. Not of the week. I'm the villain of this movie. All right. Yeah. The next movie, goddamn it. We'll get a 2-part villain for the next movie, but yeah. It's just ridiculous. Like I love that as well, because like I said, that's really how I felt. When you first see him, like, oh, this is just basically villain of the week. We're gonna brush past him real quick and keep pushing, but that was not the case.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I loved how they build it up, and even like, because even as a viewer, you just get this sense of dread, like, this is about to be bad, So it's like it was just good to like get from Miles' POV, and then also just as a viewer be like, Miles fucked up, goddamn, So
yeah. All right, so now let's dive into the meat of the movie. Let's start diving into some of these theories, some of the deeper plot points here. So, as you mentioned, or as we already mentioned, well, I don't think we mentioned it yet, but so one of the major plot reveals for the story we found out was that it turns out that Miles was the quote-unquote original anomaly, because how you mentioned earlier that the spider from Universe 42 was pulled into Miles' universe and bit him instead of Universe 42 Miles. Okay, if that's the case, why did Universe 42 not collapse? Is it in, or why did Miles' universe? Well, I guess I understand why Miles' universe did not collapse, because, you know, basically Miles replaced his Peter. That universe is Spider-Man, so it was like that universe still had a Spider-Man, so it's almost like the timeline was like, okay, Spider-Man is still in this universe, it's a different one, but it's still him, so let's just keep it going.
Well, here's the interesting thing about it. I think, at least as far as that question, who says they technically don't have their Spider-Man? They in before, like,
okay, well, I guess that pulls me into a later theory I was going to get to, but yeah, like, so technically,
so because
we know Universe 42 doesn't have a Spider-Man, but Miles was quote unquote the Prowler. I think that's what it was called, right? The Prowler, but we don't know how he's acting as a Prowler, because he could be a vigilante type, you know, person.
He couldn't even be a hero. But I was saying it more so. Not even just the Prowler, but I was saying like Miles, who would have been that universe's Spider-Man if because he was supposed to get bit by that spider, still exists.
Yes, he still exists, but he's not Spider-Man.
But I'm saying, I'm just saying this is what if
because he still exists himself, even though he's not Spider-Man, but he was supposed to be that universal Spider-Man. But it's so for the fact that since he still exists, that world didn't, you know, totally crumble under itself.
Yeah, just in a way, it's kind of like just how you said, like with other Miles taking up Spider-Man for his universe after their Spider-Man died, like Miles, who would have been that 42's universe Spider-Man, still exists, and technically, even without the Spider, could be a hero, because as you said, we don't know what capacity he's acting as the Prowler.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. It's just the main difference between the two is one is, you know, Spider-Man and the other is not.
Yeah, and also this would get into one of my theories as far as like canon events goes, but I don't know if we want to get into that now or later.
I mean, well, no, we can keep going, but because essentially, well, I guess I'm delving deeper into this, because they were saying that, you know, Miles is the original anomaly. Okay, if Miles was the original anomaly, why didn't they fix it? Was because he took up the mantle of Spider-Man in that universe and kept it going? Because it's almost like I said, like, think about it, like that his universe Spider-Man died, right? So if they come in and they take away Miles or fix Miles, I don't know how they was gonna quote unquote fix it, but they quote unquote fix whatever the situation is, and Miles is no longer Spider-Man, then now his universe is without a Spider-Man as well. So I assume that's probably why they didn't necessarily go on and quote unquote fix it, if you will, because, you know, of that reason right there. Because if they did fix it, maybe it would have actually messed something up, because
I mean,
almost like the universe accepted Miles as the Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, that could be one.
Because on top of that, they said he was an anomaly, but they also said that his dad dying in the spot was a canon event. How is this in a canon event if he's supposed to be an anomaly?
Well, which again, that figures into what my theory for canon events could be. Well, what they are alluding to, but I think as far as like Miles, the reason they didn't quote unquote fix Miles' situation is that I don't think they really could unless they were willing to kill a teenager, or
that part.
And B, I think at the end of the day, Spider-Man is a hero, and they understand that if they were to remove a hero, that means the villains would just run rampant. Now,
I guess if that was a fix, they would have to swap the Miles.
Yeah, and even then, though, that's still universe. You're leaving universe without a Spider-Man.
Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, because the original one died. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like even then, there's the issue of removing a hero from a universe that still has its villains and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think that's a complicated thing as far as anomalies. But I mean, you're opening the door to the thing I have with canon events, and to me, I'm not gonna say that they don't exist, but but something I'll like point out, or I was getting at, is I don't think canon events are the same for every spider across.
No,
and
of
by
course
that,
not.
And by that I mean, so I'm not the one who originally came up with this theory, but someone thought that Peter B. Parker showing off Mayday to Miles was more than just like all touching moment of like you inspired me to have a kid. It's more of like if you look around at all the other Spider people, just the movie in general during the things that are canon events, it's all tragedy, and somehow besides all that, I was able to have a daughter, which could technically.
He went through his tragedy already, though.
I'm saying I'm not
in the first movie,
but I'm not saying necessarily tragedy. Even Miguel, but I'm saying like think of what Miguel went through, like the fact that he felt like he couldn't be happy unless he went to a different universe and assumed a different version of him's life where he had a family, and that broke it. Peter was able to have a family, and and based on just what the movie's overall thing with canon events being trauma and tragedy and stuff like that, Peter was able to have a happy life besides Spider-Man.
But at the same time, Miguel, it was either Miguel or Peter B mentioned that being Spider-Man comes with a lot of grief, but a lot of good comes from it as well.
Well, I'm not discounting the tragic moments.
I'm just trying to see what point you're trying to make. Understand what point you're trying to make.
What I'm saying, you can have events outside of the spectrum of Spider-Man's life has to be tragedy.
Of course,
right? And even with the thing like of Proviter's moment of like a canon event, there's so many questions around. Even Miles pointed out, he was like, how do we know that was fully my doing and not something that the Spot created? Because again, the Spot went there, fucked up a whole bunch of shit. His powers is basically fucking up a universe.
Yeah, so basically, are you saying that his Priya's canon event was basically only possible because of Spot, which essentially is because of Miles?
Yeah, but I'm saying for instance, like the whole rubble falling on a person, thing, was that always meant to trigger because of Spot? Because if that is the case, that means an anomaly had to happen in the first place for that to
happen. Yeah.
So I'm saying like,
not necessarily, because Spot could always been canon. It could have just been the original universe's Spider-Man dealing with Spot instead of Miles.
But I'm saying, but Spot,
so technically, that situation could have still been happened one way because of Spot. It was supposed to be the other Spider-Man instead of Miles.
Well, I'm saying Spot, for instance, is technically an anomaly himself, because that's what they sent Gwen. That's why they sent Gwen to Miles' universe in the first place. It's because Spot showed up as an anomaly. That's what I'm saying. So like, what if it's not necessarily you stopping these events, or that these events have to happen, but necessarily anomalies existing within the universe and causing.
He was an anomaly because, like you said, that's the whole reason why Gwen was sent there in the first place. Yeah, she was sent there for him. You're correct.
So I mean, the theory is kind of two-part, but like basically what I'm saying is, what if it's not necessarily these tragic ass events have to happen to these Spider people, but more so anomalies interacting in a universe where where they're causing so much damage that the universe can't like recover from it. For instance, it's like, I don't know what fully happened to Miguel or anything, but Miguel obviously went through some very tragic shit because he tried to replace a dead version of himself, raise a family,
I believe he lost his family.
But I'm saying, like, besides just him filling in for the dead Miguel O'Hara,
no, I'm talking about in his universe. I believe he lost his family. That's why he wanted to.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt. Well, based on if we're going based off his comics and stuff like that, from what I've heard, Miguel has a kid, but his relationship with his kid isn't necessarily like the best. Like, he didn't get to raise it and raise his child and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I don't think it's a girl. I think he has a son. But I mean, regardless, I'm saying like there's a lot of loose stuff, I feel like, around these canon events. And I think a big part of like Peter talking to Miles, besides just saying like, hey, I have a daughter, I did this because of you, is like, your life does not have to be tragic. You could figure out a way around these things, these quote unquote canon events that seem to create spiders. But the thing is, some of them are like the ones that are already done, you can't go back and change, and there are set things that do have to happen. I don't necessarily think like even his dad has to die, but I think we'll go through that within the second move, like I said, in the second movie. It's just like, to me, the way the movie is doing the canon events thing is, you have to also have to be in like the comics for this, but basically there's a big commentary basically like Spider-Man isn't allowed to ever be happy because he's a man who can't have it all. But the thing is, Peter B is an example of someone who was able to achieve the quote unquote happiness that all Spider-Man chase. Kind of.
I see what you're saying, because there's also a lot of stories, Spider-Man stories, where it seems like for whatever reason Peter just can't seem to be happy sometimes. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what the movie is like pulling from, and that's what the canon events are pulling from, because none of the canon events was like, oh Spider-Man gets a dog, he be pulling bad bitches. None of those were canon events. It was just like, hey, your uncle gonna die, a captain's gonna die, he could be a relative, all this bad shit gotta happen, why ain't nothing good gotta happen. And also, like, the overall arcing thing of the story is like also like a big part of it is Miles defying what other people says is his story and what his lot in life is, and him trying to find his own path. So I just feel like based on those themes, I think the canon events aren't just like as small as what Miguel was making them. I just feel like he went through such a bad thing, and he's trying to make
he's making them out to be.
Yeah, and he's and because to me it's like I don't see the thing in the movie that I wish they expanded upon more so we could get it, but it might happen in the beyond. Is that Miguel is really the only one where we get to find out how his universe collapsed, or like the universe collapsing, and he mentions others are like, oh, we weren't so lucky, we are not always so lucky to stop them from doing so. But I would like to hear what the parameters were for the other failed ones, because to me what Miguel is doing, or like, and some other people have also mentioned this, is like he had a very bad outcome to his meddling in the multiverse, and therefore he thinks that will happen to anybody who steps out of line from what is canon or repeatable, and therefore he's doing all of this, and I think that can like definitely skew or sway basically what people feel like is in the realm of possibility.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. You almost lost me for a second there, because I was trying to see the point you was trying to make, where Peter being happy and canon events and stuff like that. But I get what you're saying. Like, why is all the canon events something where Peter, or not necessarily Peter, but Spider-Man is going through something tragic? I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because they lied. I mean, like, just for instance, in the thing when they were explaining Canvas Miles, they had a fucking row of Peters over their dead uncle, and I'm just like, all right, are there happy canon events that have to happen? No, just people dying, captains dying, uncles dying. No, I got Black Cat.
I mean, well, I guess is the reason why it's really the tragic ones, because whenever those Peters or whoever the particular Spider-Man for that universe is, that tragedy is what makes them decide to take up the mantle. So I think that's.
I mean, at least I think the Uncle Ben story and stuff like that is it solidifies usually them becoming greater. But what's interesting, especially for Miguel, because even Miles mentioned, like, you don't have spider powers like the rest of us do. Who's to say you're not the anomaly? Because his story is very different from the rest of us. He doesn't get bit by a spider. As far as I know, I don't think he has. I don't think he has an uncle that died. I don't know that much about Spider-Man 2099, but from what I have heard,
so Miguel can't climb walls.
He can. He has claws in his fingers that pop out. So from what I know, I believe the 2099 storyline is like.
So he didn't. So what did he get bit by? Because he got bit by some type of spider or something like that, or a bat or something, right? Because wasn't there a scene where they showed us like he was about to bite somebody's head off?
Yeah. So Miguel has fangs like a spider would. So basically, from my understanding of 2099 comics, and if somebody is watching this and they know more, please correct me if I'm telling this wrong. Miguel's powers and even his like suit are like synthetic, like they're not natural, like how other spiders kind of like they can naturally stick holes and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, Miguel worked for a corporation that was in the future that was trying to recreate the experiment that created Spider-Man, but without necessarily spiders, and it was like a super soldier program. Miguel somehow got the serum. I'm not sure how, and basically his abilities He can see in the dark, but he's super sensitive to light. So like a lot of times he'll wear sunglasses or something over his eyes. He has claws that protrude from like his fingers and his feet that let him climb stuff, but he got sick and he slashing into them bitches.
So
and
he did have his body augmented then.
Yeah, and
just
he has fangs.
Just not from a spider bite. So like you said, a super soldier serum, something like that.
Yeah, that's why in the train thing when Miguel and Miguel and Miles are fighting, they're like, man, that's freaky as shit. Are you sure you're not the anomaly? Like basically, because he doesn't have powers like all the other Spider-Man. So technically, are you not breaking the canon? I mean, like all of us have spider bites, but you, sir.
So if they was trying to recreate the serum, like, but without the spiders, then how did he still end up becoming Spider-Man?
Well, that's why I said. That's why I said he got the serum somehow. I'm not sure how, and I guess he was inspired by the past stories of Spider-Man and took up the mantle.
Was the original Spider-Man in his universe?
Yeah, so the as far as I know, the 2099 universe or the 2099 comics all feature like a hero that takes up the mantle of a previous hero from the past, or something like that. Sometimes it could be like the same. Like for instance, Wolverine's immortal, so like if there is a 2099 Wolverine, I'm pretty sure it's just him. But I don't. I don't know all the stuff of ins and outs of the Spider-Man comics or 2099
Logan.
But yeah, as far as I know, a lot of Miguel's stories like how he became Spider-Man
is different from your standard Spider story.
Yeah, so so that's why I loved it when Miles was like, "You sure you're not the anomaly?" Like kind of giving him his own shit, because Miguel is very different and his story is not the same as a lot of people's Spider-Man. So for him to be the leader of this group of people, to be like, "This is the box you're in," is wild, kind of. So
it's wild. It's wild. Cause so what was my next one? So we talked about.
I think if we're doing theories, the last one you had was the live action thing.
Yes, Miles. People have been speculating this for a while now, but I really believe
they did confirm it though.
Did we?
No, Sony. We don't know if it's Marvel or Sony's, but they've already confirmed that there is plans to bring Miles Spider-Man to live action.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna speak on the MCU then. Specifically, where the scene where Miguel is explaining to Miles about the Spider-Verse theory, basically. But before you see the cosmic web, how he called it, the spider web or whatever, you basically see the timeline, the tree life, whatever you want to call it. You see the timeline, but it's basically identical to MCU's multiverse timeline. Like it almost looks exactly the same. And then there's also a mention at the beginning of the movie where I can't remember who mentioned it, but it was either it was a spot where Miguel mentioned that like, don't even get me started on Doctor Strange. I think it was Miguel. It was either Miguel or the other girl. It was Miguel. It was like, don't even get me started on Doctor Strange universe, whatever, he mentioned the MCU universes. And like, don't even get me started on him and him messing up the multiverse and all that, things of that nature. And we're dead in the middle of the multiverse right now saga for the MCU phase. It would not surprise me if at the end of Beyond the Spider-Verse somehow we see Miles coming into the MCU. It would not surprise me at all. So, to that, I don't know if it's going to be this universe's Miles going into the MCU or whatever, but I do know Miles is coming is at some point going to make an appearance in the MCU. He made, first off, Childish Gambino, Donald Glover made a cameo in this movie as the Prowler. You don't know, or if you don't remember, in the first Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, he appeared as Aaron Davis, Miles' uncle. So Miles exists, and because he also says, I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew that live around here. So technically Miles has already been hinted at in the MCU. From that, and two, it wasn't in the American version, but apparently you can find clips of this online. In No Way Home, the last scene when Peter's in his moving into his apartment, there people can hear there's a little small audio clip,
in the background of a woman saying, "Miles, stop messing around. We have to do such and such," or something like that. So it's kind of confirmed at this point that Miles will be in it.
But I'm specifically talking about this universe's Miles basically going into the MCU.
I would be surprised if they do something like that, considering that they showed scenes from the other Spider-Man movies, and mentioned Doctor Strange. Now, I just know that'd be like a very interesting legal thing, because
I mean, well, we know they can work it out, because they already know they work out the stuff between Tom Holland being in MCU already, so they can work it out. That's not an issue. I'm not worried about legalities. They can work that out.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I would like to. I wonder how they do it. They probably like play it off as a joke in the next movie or something like that. So it would be interesting though. It would very well be.
That's the broad theory now. Like you say, I forgot that they did mention that Miles is coming to live action eventually, but I'm specifically talking about Across the Spiderverse Miles, Into the Spider-Verse Miles, however you want to call it, whatever you want to name these series, because every name is different. They didn't just do part 1, part 3. I guess the Spider-Verse Miles, that's what we're gonna call it. The Spider-Verse Miles, specifically this Miles going into the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, that would be. Hey, I'm very interested to see what that would be, what little clip they'd give or how they do that. But that'd be nice to do. Now, besides this, we did have a couple other stuff for to talk about before we like give ratings and stuff. But like that,
of course.
There was something I wanted to get into.
I'm about to say, was there something you wanted to touch upon before we touched upon the other Miles?
Okay, never mind. That's what I wanted to move to, was the other Miles, and how, and basically what we expect for like the next movie, their relationship and stuff like that. Also, but before we do that, also, I know, just going back to what Ace had asked me earlier about what I really liked about the movie. There's a small detail I think that gets missed by a lot of people with Miles. Miles has spider sense, and when other Miles snuck Miles, that shit did not go off.
Did not.
And I loved that, because why would Miles perceive himself as a threat?
As a danger.
When I thought about that after the movie theater, I was like, this shit is so
why
good.
Why would you perceive yourself as a threat? It makes totally sense.
I was like,
I didn't even realize that. Are you dead ass right now?
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, I love this movie. I was like, I love this
because he came in so quick. I didn't even have a chance to realize that. That man came in so quick, knocked Miles right on out.
I was like, it's very hard to sneak somebody who has spider sense, and he did it. And I was like, how did that happen though? But I was like, he wouldn't see him. There's no one. He wouldn't see him as a threat. It's him. It's his body.
It's me. It's me. But I think that's really cool, because honestly, when they first introduced the whole anomaly theory with the other spider coming from the other universe, I wasn't even thinking about another Miles. I don't even know how, but my mind wasn't even nowhere near on another Miles.
I mean, they do such a good job, I think, of kind of like throwing you off of it being Miles. Because the thing is, most of the different world Spider-Man are a version of Peter. There's not many that aren't like. Like all of their names come from Peter Parker, except Miles, Gwen, and Miguel. Really, Miguel. And Spider-Woman. But like, besides that, so you don't really think like, oh, this could be another. If this world was supposed to have a Spider-Man, it most likely would be Peter. Or like, even if you don't think that, that's probably like, that's a subconscious thought, really. So when it turned out there was another Miles, I was like, what the fuck? So
it makes sense. Like, oh, why can't there be another Miles? It's the multiverse. Why would there only be one Miles? Why would I even think something like that? Why am I limiting myself to such small thinking?
and then when you go, when you're a nut job like me and you go watch the movie twice and you realize that that Earth 42 spider was gonna bite Miles anyway, you're just like, crazy. I love this movie. I love this shit.
I mean, so technically, the spider achieved his goal. It bit Miles, it just didn't technically bite the correct Miles. I guess, which is another thing where almost it's like his universe didn't necessarily collapse because the spider that bit him was supposed to bite another Miles instead of just like another Peter. It was specifically meant for another, Miles Morales. So there could have been another reason why the Spider-Verse was like, okay, this universe lost its spider, but it was replaced by Spider-Man, but it was replaced by Miles Morales. So it's all fine and dandy. We're not gonna collapse you. We're gonna let you keep riding out.
I mean, that's another good point right there with the thing. But to focus in on Miles and Miles. So the question I posed was, how do we think the relationship between the two Miles is going to develop? Moving forward and beyond the Spider-Verse.
I can see this going like one or two ways. One being the Universe's 42 Miles is basically gonna take out our Miles on a stroll through his New York, basically, and just allow him to see a world without Spider-Man, and just basically, so he can fully draw that in, basically know how important he really is, and not just to him, just Spider-Man is in general to his world. Or they're gonna have to scrap. They're probably gonna scrap regardless, but this is gonna be just gonna be full scrap. I ain't trying to redeem you or nothing. I'm not trying to show you the good side, the bad side. We scrap.
I think so. I definitely think that's where Earth 42 Miles will probably start with. Like, we are fighting. Like, when Miles escapes, because the whole watch the hand it's gonna be so good. But I think they're definitely gonna fight just due to
we're probably gonna get a fight hands down, because it's Miles versus Miles. How would they not give us that in some type of capacity? You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a fight one way or another. Spider-Man, almost like Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, but it's not. Yeah. But it's him versus himself. How can they not give us that?
But I think ultimately, what I think might happen is I want to say talk no jutsu, but the two Miles working together to save his dad, because
it depends, because that man, when Miles said, our dad gonna die, that man looked at him and said, your dad.
Yeah, no, but that's why I think it's gonna end up being a situation where Miles gives other Miles a chance to be a hero, because the whole thing with I don't think because the thing is, at the end of the day, just like people were saying online, Spider-Man always tries to help people, and I think Miles is going to try and help the other version of him.
Hands down, I believe Universe 42 Miles is out there helping people. Hands down, I don't think.
No.
I don't know. Well, he's either a vigilante type hero going out there in the streets, or he's the reason why there's chaos and destruction out there in the streets. He's the reason.
I said that before. I was like, I'm not sure if this is a full hero Miles or what, but I was saying, like, I think the Miles, the main Miles, is going to give Earth 42 Miles a chance to be a hero.
A real hero, if you will.
Because I don't know I'm pretty sure we'll probably find out in Beyond the Spider-Verse why other Miles' dad died, but I feel like Miles is going to try
died to some type of violence out in the streets.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
there's no Spider-Man, so violence and crime is at all time high.
But I'm saying, could it have been related? What? Let me finish. I'm saying, could his death have been related to something that Spider-Man, him being Spider-Man, could have prevented?
Maybe. It
That's
depends.
what I'm saying. So
I don't know. It depends, because technically, who's to say that his dad died, regardless if he's Spider-Man or not? It was supposed to be a quote-unquote canon event.
I mean, but also, who's to say his dad died isn't a canon event for him being the Prowler?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. Regardless if he's Spider-Man or not.
But I'm saying could that be more akin to how he became the Prowler? Because
I'll probably put money on it. That's probably one of the reasons why he became the Prowler. Because in this universe, his dad died, but guess who's still alive? His uncle.
And his uncle.
The previous universe, and all the comic book stuff, his uncle is the Prowler. So
that's so that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to say that Miles, knowing that. Knowing himself and knowing that also that his uncle didn't even necessarily want to be a villain, he might give his other version a chance to save.
I get what you're saying.
To save someone he couldn't.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you know, because
almost like how like in No Way From Home, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, how he got to save Zendaya, but when he couldn't save, you know, his Gwen from his universe. I get what you're saying. I'm vibing with that. I'm vibing with that
because I think that might. I don't know if that'll combat a canon event. I don't know if it'll make it worse, but I just think that's something that our Miles would do because I mean it's him. He sees himself in him, and I definitely think that the main universe Miles would have loved another chance, like would love a chance to save his uncle if he could. So the fact that he knows that he can potentially give a different version of himself a chance to save
his dad, yeah,
I just think that's something too good, too juicy not to have like as a writer. And then like another thing, it just makes sense for the character. Now, will it actually happen? I don't know because other Miles seems like he on Black Air Force time.
Listen.
And so he might not give Miles the chance to be buddy.
That's like, why I said is either we gonna be buddy and there's gonna be room for, you know, improvement and redemption, or it's just all the way left field. I'm the reason out here these streets are on fire. You know. So.
Only time will tell. But I think we can both agree we're very excited to see where
because I wouldn't mind if they went the full villain route with the Universe 42 Miles. I wouldn't mind that. Like if they didn't give him no redemption, like he's just a villain, like that's just how it is. I wouldn't mind it, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind them also, you know, of course, you know, trying to give him some redeeming qualities as well, because you know it's my boy Miles. You know?
Yeah, it's another Miles, so it would make sense to him for him not to be fully evil. But I would love
correct.
But like you said, it's still good either way. Like I am very excited to see what it leads to.
Yeah. Either way. Definitely interested to see how they, you know, decide to depict the Universe 42 Miles. Definitely interested in that. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Yeah, I believe we went through all the major theories because really just the big major theory we want to discuss was just the quote unquote canon events
and what they are basically and everything like that. And yeah, no, this movie got a lot, and I think we've really touched up on majority of like all the stuff.
Okay. I know they say not to, but we're gonna pit a bad bitch against another one. Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse. Which one you got, big dog?
I see. This is so hard for me because, like I said, Into the Spider-Verse is one of, if not my favorite movies. It's my favorite comic book movie. And then Into this bad bitch. And, so here's the interesting thing with this, because I put in our docket like this question, and I was like, we could do this personal and then objective. And I think opinion wise, I like this slightly more. It edges out just a bit, but I think it's just a bit, and I think it's just due to I could not have called that ending at all. I could not have called it, and then also just including the all the other Spider people, and then introducing truly a topic to Spider-Man fans of like, what does it mean to be Spider-Man? Like, does it have to be tragedy?
You know, one thing I'll give Across the Spider-Verse over Into the Spider-Verse, it definitely felt more like a Spider-Man movie, and I really just mainly attribute to that, with the first one being Miles wasn't Spider-Man then, you know, he was coming to his own. So you know, it was really, that was, you know, a homecoming movie with the first one. And so, you know, the second one feels more like a Spider-Man movie because he's fully Spider-Man now. So we're seeing him do more Spider-Man things, you know, with the major one being, you know, saving people, of course. So I'll definitely give this movie that over Across the Spider-Verse over Into the Spider-Verse.
To echo that, not necessarily being more of a Spider-Man movie, but one of the things as a not a huge fan of Spider-Man, but something I really like when I do see it in Spider-Man is when he has to, or like in Heroes anyway, is just when they have to really look at their morals, or like they analyze themselves and figure out like what is best, not only for me, but like as a hero, what should I be doing? And I think they do a perfect job of not only doing that from one character, but like even Gwen struggles with that. Like, how do I balance this life and like remain myself while I know I'm hurting? By being secretive, I'm hurting the people around me, and I'm hurting myself really. Like it did a great job, I think, of doing that, which is, in my opinion, is a big Spider-Man thing because he has to always feel like it. For me, I feel like the one thing of Spider-Man is like that he can't fully always have it all, and they kind of say in the movie, you want your cake and you eat it too. So that's a big part of this movie. So opinion wise, I'd say Across the Spider-Verse over Into the Spider-Verse. Now, objectively, I think Into the Spider-Verse is better just due to the fact that it has a solid ending. It's not like a cliffhanger one. Because even like and it was interesting because I saw so many people talk about this. Like, can it be considered a good film when it didn't have necessarily a wrapped up conclusion? And I was like, I mean, it made me feel shit. It made me, I love it. But they are right though. It doesn't have an ending, and we should not allow. And technically, it's a bad thing to start showing support for stuff like that in Hollywood, because then they gonna milk, then they gonna start trying to milk it for everything they got. So I was like,
I mean, well, no, the movie doesn't have a quote unquote end. I mean, I think the movie ended well because it ended off on a good cliffhanger. You got to also remember this is a two-parter, so.
Well, yeah, but the thing is,
well, technically,
for instance, technically,
it's a trilogy. This is a trilogy.
It's trilogy, but I'm saying, but technically, even within trilogies, usually movies, the first and second movie
have a
quote unquote
ending, but no, they tying this one a little closer to the third one. Can y'all get off their back? All right, get off their back.
I'm not saying I don't necessarily think it's a problem.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to anybody else who's complaining about it.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I do see. I don't want to say the people that don't have a say in it are wrong, because, for instance, another movie that kind of had the same type of feel, or the most one in recent, I can think of recent year, Infinity War and Endgame. Infinity War was able to wrap up. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was like technically a part one. Like it had an ending. Thanos won.
But that's you're gonna compare this to probably one of the best movies ever made. That's what you're gonna do.
I love Infinity War.
That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna compare this to Infinity War.
You just said they say not to do it. Let's put a bad bitch against a bad. I'm just saying. And this is not me saying that it has to be like this. I'm just saying I do get. I get where they're coming from, because.
But I'm saying, I'm not for you, because you just made that point, and I'm like, damn, I can't even dispute that. But at the same time, it's like, I think the reason why it worked for Infinity War is because you just see 30 minutes into, no, it was 30 minutes, an hour into the movie, they were like, Thanos, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna take matters to my own hand, and after I complete, gather all the stones and get rid of half the universe, I'm gonna sit down and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe. That motherfucker did exactly what he said he was gonna do.
Yes. But I'm saying
but I don't know. I guess that's why it feels just a little bit different. But I don't know, man.
But I'm saying, like, it had a resolved ending. It had resolve already. Yeah, and that was itself technically a part one movie. So I kind of get the argument where people say they could have done that for this. But at the same time,
no, man. I
feel you.
I think they did a good enough job. I just think.
Again, I agree.
I just think it's compared, like trying to capture the moment Infinity War gives you is just that's hard. That's hard trying to capture that, because they've been building it up for years, man. Like, I don't know how you can.
I completely understand, but that's the only reason I say, like, objectively, I think it had to be Into the Spider-Verse because it has a resolved ending, and Across is more like open-ended, and therefore leaves you with like a sense
because
of,
you can
like,
definitely sit here and theorize, like you said, how the 2 miles are going to interact and things of that. Okay, I'll give you that 100%.
That's just objective, but opinion-wise, fucking love this movie. It is a bit. I left that theater feeling like I could be Spider-Man.
I love this movie too. No, I left I was gonna show off my poster I got from the theater. I left it in the car, but yeah, I got a nice little poster from it too and everything.
I didn't
get a chance to get one of the buckets, but yeah, I got one of the posters though. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. So, for me, opinion-wise, I'm going Across.
You going across?
Across.
You going across? That was a long explanation just to get there, but I feel you, Chief.
Oh, well, I said why I think objectively though Into is better, but for me, I just think Across had more of the things I look for. I think like in superhero media or comic book media, stuff like that, things that really like. Besides, like fuck your superhero job. What makes you keep doing this, and what are the things that make you question if you want to keep doing this and stuff like that? And I think they did a great job of showing that in this movie, not only just for Miles, but for like other characters that we got to see, and what it looked like for them to resolve those issues. Because technically, some people argue that this movie wrapped up Gwen's story, and I agree with that. If you want to go for it, what wrapped? But like again, that's kind of a
Well, no. Yeah, I guess so, because that also brings back to another thing, because apparently I think Gwen's dad was supposed to die as well. But then, you know, when she goes back,
potentially,
she realized that, you know, he quit being the captain. She was like, oh, you're not a captain anymore. And she, you know, you see her start thinking that, like, that's not how this is supposed to be. So I guess that also kind of goes back to what you were saying, that what really constitutes as a canon event, and can they truly not, you know, really be altered, like you mentioned earlier? Yeah,
because a hole in the fucking space-time didn't open up for Gwen at that moment, you know. But enough of, we passed it, so yes sir. I'm
gonna give it to you. I'm gonna go across as well, and I think I'm gonna keep it short, just and simply because I really, like I mentioned earlier, this movie just felt really more like a Spider-Man movie to me than the first one. Even though I did love the first one as well, it is phenomenal as well, but just the second one definitely felt more like a Spider-Man movie.
If you had asked me this like a day before, I'd been like, I can't answer this because I just.
But after you saw it 2 times, I'm
debating it. After I saw it twice, I'm like, yeah, because I didn't even do that with Into the Spider-Verse, and so I think I have to give it to Across the Spider-Verse.
I mean, well, yeah, if you went back to see this for willingly for a second time and you didn't do that with the first one, I will say you enjoyed this one a lot more.
Now I have rewatched Into the Spider-Verse after I got the DVD.
A rewatch and going back to see it in theaters again for a second time is different.
Yeah, no, completely. So, yeah. But
me paying money to go see this thing that I love so much is different from me watching it on the stream. It finally came out a year later on the streaming service.
or someone gifted me the DVD or something like that. But with all that, we want to get into rating it.
Yeah, we're gonna rate this bad boy. This movie is nothing less than a 9 out of 10. I would not go no lower than a 9 out of 10. It's nothing less. The soundtrack amazing, visuals amazing, animation amazing. The fact that they pulled off animating all these different art styles in like multiple different scenes, but at the same time, just blows my mind. And it's just a work of art. They did an amazing job with this.
Truly. I don't know how you give it less than 9 out of 10. Personally, this is an 11 out of 10 for me. All I can do is echo everything Ace said, but just like the feeling you get watching that movie, and then the feeling you get when you're like, damn, I gotta wait fucking half a year to watch the next one. I just, nothing rivals it.
Because you know a movie is good is like when you go into the sequel, it's like, oh man, I really hope they can capture the magic from the first movie, and they did that plus more. Then it's just like, what more could you ask for?
Yeah. If I had to dock it any points and knock it down to a 9 or realistically a 10 or anything, it's just that it ends on a cliffhanger. The credits roll, damn it. That's the problem with the movie.
No, my docket points on anything would be that they truly just didn't show off more of the Spider HQ in my opinion. I feel like half the movie should have been that, goddamn. Half the movie should have been that. Oh man, that'll only be the thing for me. Just more Spider-Man. Give us more Spider-Man. Why are you taking away the Spider-Man? Why? Let me see that Spider-Man that's hanging off the ceiling back there in the far corner that I can barely see. Why can't I see them? Bring them to the front. Let me talk to them. What's their story over there?
What's their story?
How was his day going?
What's their intro? Huh? Like what?
Yeah, let me holler at him real quick. Yeah, just more of that. I feel like it was a missed opportunity because, like I said, even it don't even have to be for long. Like they could have did like a montage of just them showing like all these different Spider-Mans. Like, hey, my name is this or my name is that. I do this or I do that. It just missed opportunities. I feel like they could have just did more stuff with the Spider HQ.
And look, again, like I said, the only bad part about this is the credits roll, man. It's the only thing.
Alrighty. Well, I believe let me check before we do officially wrap this up. Let me take one last look at our docket here, make sure we hit up everything. And I believe we did. What did we touch up on this one for the most part? Let's see, because we talked about, I don't know if that Mouse's growth. I guess we talked about. Well, no, I guess we really didn't touch up on it that much part.
Well, I don't want to go too long on it just because we're already at like an hour and 20. But if I did, I'm very impressed. I think with because if I do remember correctly, it's been a year in this movie. It's been a year and some months for removed from the first movie, and where this movie takes place, and just all the abilities displayed. All the things he displayed, and then also the confidence that he had in himself that was such an issue in the first movie is just impressive to see, and it really does show how you build a character, I feel like.
Okay. Man, I don't really have too much to say about his growth because I don't know how long it's been, but you can definitely tell that they was trying to they were showing a lot of experts throughout the movie. Miles becoming a growing teenager, things of that nature, not necessarily rebelling against his parents, but just having expressing his feelings and his ideas and stuff like that to his parents, and how it's actually hard to do that as well, to talk to your parents, because sometimes, even though no matter how open your parents can be or just necessarily how nice they can be, sometimes it is hard to go talk to them about certain stuff like that. So they show they did do a good job of showing the family dynamic at the really well at the beginning of the movie.
Yep. No.
I do like that.
I agree
with that. But okay, yeah, just making sure there's nothing else we really missed. But no, I think we touched upon everything. Yeah. So this was the Across the Spider-Verse spoiler review. Everybody, please let us know down below in the comments what you guys think and how you guys feel about the movie. Are we categorizing this as a special episode? Probably so. I guess we'll categorize this as a special episode because technically it's not our normal content. We got another special here coming out soon that's not anime content. We'll be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to spoil what that is just yet, but it's coming soon. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. Let us know what you guys think, and what was your favorite Spider-Man and woman that you saw in the movie. And with all that being said, McMillian, go and take us on out of here.
All right, guys, as always, appreciate you for watching this last listen. If you want to stay up to date on all things at the council, please consider following us on our social media, which is at Gurren Otakus on Twitter and at Gurren Otaku Council on everything else. For my audio-only listeners, appreciate you for listening. Please consider following the podcast as well as sharing it with your friends and family so they can also be on this cool content as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribing. Really helps us grow, as well as we would love to hear your thoughts on all the stuff that we do. All that being said, guys, this is Gurren Otaku Council saying meeting adjourned. Peace.